Hi guys, if you're curious about the rise of Japanese metal in the recent years, then this interview that is about to come here might be something for you. I had a conversation with David Örnberg from a page called Rokku-sokuhō that holds information about over 500 metal and rock bands from Japan and more to come. He also hosts an international radio show every 2 weeks where he talks about Japanese music and deep dives into individual bands and stuff like that. He has been doing this for years, and I thought he could help me understand what is behind this rise of Japanese metal in the recent years. Why are all these women involved? Why are they so talented? How do they get noticed worldwide? Is it social media? Is there something else? What music are they making out there that we haven't seen before and never heard before? And then we discussed a few bands like Bandmaid, Love Bites, and Baby Metal. So I hope you guys enjoy. So you're sitting in Sweden, I'm sitting in Prague, and we're going to talk about Japanese heavy metal.
Yes.
That's a little bit bizarre.
We are Nordic persons, both of us.
Yeah. So the reason why I wanted to talk to you is that I made a video the other day about 5 up-and-coming bands where I mentioned, I'd made 2 separate videos about the same topic, the bands that I think are going to break out big this year. And then I got a lot of reaction to that, and that kind of prompted you to reply to me, and you in the end sent me an email because you have a web page about Japanese heavy metal that you've been having for some time now. And I thought that it would be great to talk to someone who has spent a lot of time digging into this to try to understand a little bit better for the rest of us what the hell is going on out there in Japan, because everything seems to be happening. So maybe, yeah, if you tell me a little bit, David, first, what kind of is your, where are you in heavy metal? Where did you get into that?
Oh, I was brought up with metal, I think. The first bands that I really in metal, it was the old Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and all that bands. So I'm brought up with that kind of music.
And but then you get into the Japanese metal, and that gets you to start this project, this Rokku-sokuhō.
Rokkusokuhō.
So that's a web page that is primarily about Japanese metal. Can you tell me a little bit more about that one?
Yes, the core is hard rock and metal from Japan, yes. But I have rock bands and I have punk and I have alternative idol units as well. But I'm trying to stick with the hard rock and metal. When I heard it for the first time in modern days, it was just, wow, I want to do this. And I was lacking of a page where you have all those bands collected. Mm-hmm. So I think it's has a purpose of finding new bands for people.
But what information exactly do you have on the page, just for the people? I mean, obviously I've been looking at the page, but for the people watching this.
Yeah, I have a page for the bands, and there you can find their websites, their Twitter account, Instagram, how to find them on Spotify and Apple Music, so people can look for themselves. Actually.
So you have some basic information about the bands and all the connections, but you separate them in genres or something. I mean, are you curating it in some organized manner, or?
Yes, for the moment I have one for rock to metal in one menu, and I have punk bands on the other menu. But I'm thinking of blending all those together, because the problem with Japanese bands that they blend over to all genres.
Yes.
It's fun, but it's very hard for us that lives in the box. That it should sound like that and like that. Like Japanese artists that aren't that way.
No, that's the thing actually, and that's something that I noticed when I started digging into this, because people started writing me. I got so many comments on my YouTube channel about new bands, and of course I wanted to hear all these bands, and then you reached out to me and sent me an email, and then you sent me a list of bands, and so I started listening even more. And that's what I find so fascinating about this, is that it kind of breaks all boundaries of genres and styles and fast and slow, and And that's kind of, it's kind of hard to put a finger on what exactly is this. And that I've said that before, there are some of these bands where I'm listening to where I'm like, yeah, I'm rocking here, and then 5 minutes later I'm like, shit, I can't let anyone see that I'm listening to some pop music here, because it just goes on on the spot to something completely different.
This way of how shall I put it, experimental. They experiment with everything, and I think it's cool.
Yeah. How many bands do you have on your page, just so that people understand? Because I mean, this is not a small project.
No. I think I have around 500 bands around,
Okay.
and I have around 500 bands in queue to make to recite. But the thing with the Rokku-sokuhō means rock breaking news, and as fast as I can, when they come up with new content on Spotify or Apple Music or on YouTube, I put it on. So it's fast news every day.
Yeah, there is
Almost.
Updates every day.
Yes.
But what is interesting, if we talk a little bit about Japanese heavy metal, I mean, like we are both kind of been around the block in this. I mean, there is a slight age difference between us, but we both remember bands like Loudness and X Japan, and that was kind of it.
Anthem.
Yeah, but there was not so much mainstream attention on these bands. I mean, these were the bands that we knew, and then we didn't know very much. What do you think changed?
I think hard rock has been big in Japan for a long time, but because Japan is one of the second largest music industries, so they manage inside the borders, and before internet and YouTube and all that, we didn't know about it. There were people going over there and they took a little snippets. They found those bands and took to the Western world. But with the modern era, with YouTube and social media, it just explodes. And I think it's great. I mean, it's not only Japanese music. It's from India, metal from India, metal from Indonesia, metal from Polynesia, from Africa. It's great, I think.
So what kind of turned your attention to Japanese metal in the, let's say, since you started, or since you, that kind of got you to then start this webpage? I mean, what was the turning point now?
I think it was a couple of years before the pandemic. I was in YouTube and saw baby metal. What is this? And this is something very strange, and I was hooked from the first song. I think it was joy in the metal. In some, I can't describe it. It was fun. It was positive, and I think the metal community needs some positivism as well, not dark.
But baby metal is a girl band, or a all female band, right?
It's I think it's one of the first we call it units, idol units. They blend Japanese pop and metal, and they have a back. There are 3 girls singing and dancing, and then you have the backing band for the groups. So they are not an all-female band, but they are like an idol group or idol units, whatever you want to call them.
There's talking about girl bands. There is this band Bandmaid that seems to be, everyone is talking about this band, and that was one of the strongest reactions that I got, was about this particular band, and that's the band that I feel like that's where I feel sometimes weird when I'm listening to this, because I've been a Slayer fan, and I'm a death metal fan, and then I'm listening to this and I enjoy it. It's a guilty pleasure, let's say.
Yes, it is.
What about that band? What do you know about that band?
This band, I think they started around 2013. And Miku was working on this called Maid Cafes. And they serve masters and princesses. That's their business idea. And she thought that why could we why couldn't we look cute males and play hard music? So she found I think she was the first. She found the guitar player, and she knows somebody, and she knows somebody, and they formed the band. And they tried to be successful, and it was hard for them. And then the video about the song "Thrill" came out. And now they have 20 million views of that video. So that's the great thing I think with Bandmaid is they have the same idea to the audience. They serve the audience music. They serve their masters and princesses with music. And they are for the audience. The audience is not for them. They are for the audience. And they are very, very close to the fans. And I think it's I have seen this lots of in Japanese bands that they really, the bands really are for the audience. And of course they live about the audience. That's the thing. So they give so much of themselves, but they rarely all Japanese bands, very rarely they say something about the family, and their private life is private life.
What I found interesting when I started diving into this is how much dominated this is by women, or how much more girls we see in this. I mean, I obviously haven't gone through all the 500 bands on your page, and I haven't seen the queue either, but what I see from a lot of the stuff that is being sent to me and commented on YouTube is it's girl bands, and that I found really interesting. Do you know anything about why that is?
Well, there is there is lots of girl bands, but there are lots of male bands as well, especially in the visual kei genre. But we can talk about that later. The traditional way is you get married and you get a kid and you stay home as a home wife. But nowadays people don't do that, and here they have the women have a way to have a career.
In music.
In music, yes. I mean, bands like Love Bites and Nemophila, they have their kids. Maximum the Hormone, the drummer have her kids, but they still play. So it's like a rebellion of the tradition, I think, a bit.
There is interesting. Also, what I noticed when I'm watching those bands is that my first impression when I started watching videos of their live performances on YouTube was that this is on tape. There is no chance that they are so talented, but they seem to be overall extremely skilled and extremely talented. Is there a lot of music education in Japan, or?
Yes, it is. No, it's not. I can't say for everyone. But it's Japan is a very, very musical country. They love music, and they very many starts to learn an instrument at 3, 4, 5 years old, doing the Suzuki method, I think it's called. And it's much classical music, but everyone can't be classical musicians. So they took this knowledge and they start playing rock and all that, and well, they are crafted. And I mean, in the Western world nowadays, when we start a band, we start a band in the garage or something and all that. But they do the ground first. And I think that music schools is very good for the kids. I wish there would be more of this in the world. Yes. So
and my experience with Japan, also from both from traveling there and also from business, is that they don't have a problem with practicing. That is not going to be an issue there. That kids or teenager will practice as long as they feel the need. Also, what I noticed with a lot of these bands is that they are very hardworking. Like that they bring albums out frequently. They make a lot of live videos, live DVDs, live this, live that, live albums, and also the quality of all this has been so interesting, because even even bands that I would think are smaller. I mean, obviously, as you say, if Japan is the second biggest market in music after the US, which I didn't know, I thought it was the UK or Sweden or something, but then obviously the home market is big. But what I've been surprised about is the quality of all this, because you will see, and I think you sent me, for example, you sent me one music video there, that band recorded their video in Iceland, in my home country, which is far away, very expensive, and that was super high quality stuff.
Well, I think when you have this huge market with lots of bands, there's lots of competition.
Yeah.
You need to get something very good and all that. But what we see the high quality. There are lots of music videos that are low quality, and they're playing in small clubs, and they have very bad monitoring, and they don't hear themselves, and so there is the whole spectrum. But what we see and what we lift up is the good quality.
I mean, that's natural.
Yeah, and Israel that you saw from that film in Iceland, she did a world tour, and when they were in Iceland, they make a video because they see that the nature was so
captivating,
beautiful. Yes.
There's another band that also a lot of people brought to my attention, or actually I had that in my first video, but I just had been told about that band recently by a lot of people on YouTube, and that's a band called Love Bites. So that's the same, that's all female, right?
Yes, my absolutely favorite band. Yes. And I think it's they have studied the masters from the 80s and 90s, and they have make it at least version 2.0 or 3.0, because and when you see the guitarists, the dueling by Midori and Miyako, it's they are so, and they do it live as well. They are so good.
Yeah. So there I feel like, as you're saying, I feel that that's kind of more of a power metal, pure. It's a purer power metal in some way. And I guess that, and power metal thrash, and I guess what you are talking about dueling would be KK Downing and Glenn Tipton and Judas Priest. It would be Adrian Smith and Dave Murray and Iron Maiden. It would be the guys in Halloween and all these bands.
Yes, but sometimes, I mean, I've seen videos of those bands. I haven't been on the concert with that, but I think Midori Miyake, they are outplaying them. At least what I have seen. And the thing with the Love Bites, they do it all the time, and the drummer in Love Bites,
she's great.
She's a pocket nuclear plant. She's very, and she's so stable, and she's doing. She's like, I have to do this in this song, and I do it in every song. It seems to be very small variation when she plays the drums.
Is there anything like that you see in Japanese music now that you've been kind of digging into this that much? Is there something that they do or they have that you haven't come across anywhere else? You mentioned before this visual kei, for example. What is that?
And the idol groups, idol units. That's nothing I didn't really know about when I started this journey. But visual kei, this is. I'm a noob in visual kei. I would say that visual kei have lots of subgenres. They are dressed in black, and they are loud kei, and they are clown kei or whatever. It's so it's so much. It's so much. But visual kei, I'm when I try to describe it, it's like the glam rock, but on steroids. I sent you a link. I think it was to visual kei, but visual kei is all about visuals. You have fashion style, you have or whatever. They invented lots of subgenres all the time. So the thing is, often it's very theatrical. It's very flamboyant when they are on the stage, and sometimes there are horror kei as well. It's some bands they simulate carving themselves in the hands, and it's we have this problem with some people that are or what's called depressive, and it
they want to hurt themselves.
I don't think, but it's theatrical. It's very, very theatrical.
Yeah. And is there anything else like this that you come across in your journey through Japanese metal where you just have never heard anywhere else? Is there something that they're doing that is like completely new, apart from just mixing it?
Yeah, for me, it was the idol units or idol groups.
What's that?
Broken. It's an idol unit. I say idol unit. It's easier to say for me. It's a bunch of girls mostly, and they sing and dance to music, like what we have here in Europe, Eurovision. It's almost the same, but and most of these bands are very popish, lots of pop. But then you have new bands, new groups that blend in rock, metal, and in the music, and they blend metal and pop, like Baby Metal. And I mean, the band Broken by the Scream, they blow my mind the first time I heard them. They have now lost the 2 screamers, but they just got one screamer back, and they are going to tour in US in April. So and that band, you have guitarists that write the songs, and they have a backing band like Baby Metal, their music is very special. When you listen to it.
And how you mentioned that they're going touring in the US, because that's what I see now. Because when I started digging into this, I started realizing that a lot of these bands are kind of making it outside of Japan now. Is that, do you think that's thanks to social media, that they get more attention? And then, like if you have a 20 million views on a video, then of course that tells you that maybe somebody would like to see it live.
Yes, of course. I mean, YouTube do lots of things about this. And lots of people, you have reactors on the YouTube, and they reacting to new music, and people see this, and it's mostly all female bands in the US, because I think it's like a vacuum of female bands somewhere in the metal. So they are the ones that shows for the moment. But you have bands like Rios, like the guitar player is awesome. They neoclassical band. You have I can't remember all the bands, but there are so much.
But what's like, if we think about like with this music pocket, when we were talking earlier, we were talking about like we had the thrash metal in California, we had the black metal in Norway, we had death metal in Florida, and then again in Sweden, we had the new wave of British heavy metal out of the UK. Is Japan in some way one of those pockets now? Are we simply just living to see a new pocket open up somehow for music that will affect the future somehow?
I think so, but I think Japan is a melting pot. They take everything, and out of that comes something like Hanabiya, this what they call Harayuki chord that they have, and I think we're going. And I think that's the thing we don't do in the Western that much. We don't blend.
No, and that's true actually, because you can hear now, like when I listen to Swedish metal in some way, I can always hear that it's Swedish metal, even if it is heavy metal or death metal or melodic death metal. I can almost always say, yeah, this is a Swedish band. And then I can always almost say, yeah, this is Norwegian, yeah, this is American. But with those Japanese bands, if they wouldn't sing, I wouldn't have a clue.
You can hear when it's very upbeat. Then you say, "Oh, this is a Japanese band." That's if you're going to see something, it's upbeats, and it's many bands have a positive way. I can't describe it, but it's not that. It's very, very positive. Some band, Love Bites is very positive in their music.
What about Rokku-sokuhō now? What's the next? What are the next steps there? What are you gonna do more with this page?
Oh, I got.
Do you have a queue
silly...
of 500 bands to get in?
Yes. And I must have something wrong in my head because I'm starting a global prize for the best music from Japan 2023. I'm reaching out to people around the globe, and I hope to get the international jury. Is it? Yes.
Yeah, jury. Yeah.
And I have a plan of starting a YouTube channel as well. So I need at least 6 arms, I think.
Yeah.
So and I do this for the love of music. I really love it.
Yeah, and it's great that because I think without someone like you taking this on, this is to some extent. I mean, yes, of course, now we know more about Japanese rock and metal than we did, maybe 5 years ago or 10 years ago for sure. But on the other hand, I think there is just still so much more there than what we see, and that's where a page like yours really helps, because if you start seeing more and more stuff, and you have a calendar there also with all the touring that the Japanese bands are doing, right?
Yes, I have a calendar that I put in bands, and you can have that calendar in your phone, and when you're in Japan, and even when they are around the world, you can search for a band, you can search for a city, you can search whatever. So I haven't stumbled across this, that one place have bands, all the bands, and I think it's good for both the bands and for us, I think.
Yeah. What do you think? Like, what are you in? Yeah, are you in touch with some of the bands? I mean, do the bands proactively send you stuff? Do they know about you, or
yes,
how?
Yes, I have a radio show as well.
Okay.
And it's streaming over internet, so it's possible for a whole world to listen to.
Okay, I'll put a link to that in the comment to this video. There will be a link to that radio show and your page, obviously, as well.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. And I had some bands that have reached out for me. I started to reach out to them, but and they send me signed CDs or signed guitar picks, and I can lotter it out in the music show. So you can have a unique signed CD if you want.
That's
if
great.
You have the lucky, if you're lucky. So and what I like, I'm trying to have once a month deep diving in some bands, and then I play the record and lottery and have a lottery. And I like those small bands, those that aren't that
big yet.
Big. I really like to help them out, and yeah, it's.
I will definitely, David, pay more attention to this, and I'm really grateful for you taking the time to talk to me, because a guy that is running an operation like this and also have a radio show, I know that you have a lot on your plate. If there is one band that you would tell someone who is watching this and has not listened to any Japanese metal band, what should he listen to?
Oh, that was a hard question. If you're in power metal, Love Bites. Have you not heard Love Bites? Do that. Nemophila is an all-female band as well. Galnerius, they are amazing. Neoclassical. That's my style. Power metal, neoclassical. There are so much. Visit my page. There are so much to explore.
Okay. Thank you very much, David, for your time. And unfortunately, we ran out of tape. I know that sounds very professional, but yeah, we were just about to say goodbye when the camera actually decided to shut off. But I would like to point you to those 2 episodes here. I have this one here about 5 up-and-coming bands that mentions a Japanese band, and then another one about the same topic that I did after all the reaction from this one, about 5 other up-and-coming bands that could be interesting for you to see for 2024. See you over there.